Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So I know I haven't posted in a while, so sorry about that, but I have a little bit of change of scenery. I moved back home. You might recognize this room because I have filmed so many videos in here from like 3-4 years ago. So in today's video, I want to tell you guys how you can decide if you want to play in college or not. Like, this is like a big pros and cons list because let me tell you, college volleyball is like not exactly what it's all shaped out to be, but also like I gained some great experiences, met some amazing people, so let's get into it. So let's start off with the pros. Let's start off with a positive, happy note. So first of all, I would say that if you're even thinking about playing college volleyball, you kind of want to be proactive about it, meaning that you want to know if you want to play college volleyball earlier rather than later. And I mean like freshman year, even like before that, maybe even like 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore year. That's when you kind of want to figure out, okay, like this is the route I want to take, because the way to get recruited is like a pipeline. It takes time and effort, and there's many steps to it, so you gotta honestly kind of set yourself up for success and start as early as you can. But keep in mind, to my knowledge, like a college coach cannot contact you until I think the summer going into junior year or something like that. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but it's something like that. So you kind of want to have a good idea of what you want to do before. And I don't mean you need to know where you're going, why you're going, your major, like your position, nothing like that. You don't need to know that quite yet, but you need to have like an idea, like a goal. Like, you know what? Yes, I want to play in college. For example, like I decided I wanted to play in college when I was like, I kind of had the idea, like maybe like 7th, 8th grade. I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I never want to stop playing. Like, I want to play in college, blah, 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 blah. But I was playing basketball at the time. So I was like, I'm going to play basketball in college. Like, volleyball is just kind of like my side gig, you know? But then I was really thinking maybe more towards like my freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the switch. I'm going to dedicate myself and I'm going to play college volleyball, like, period. I'm not going to play basketball. And that was a hard decision, okay? So like that is definitely one thing, is deciding between two sports. Like if you're a dual sport athlete like I was, like I played basketball and volleyball like I said, and golf. So I guess I was a triathlete. Is that what you said? Is that what you call it? I have no idea. But you have to kind of decide which sport you're going to pursue to play in college. Coming from experience, it is hard playing two sports in college, because I did it. I played basketball and volleyball like my 5th year, my COVID year, because I was bored, honestly, and I wanted to. Being on a college team is like a full-time job, okay? So you won't have much time for much else. So imagine doubling that. It is extremely difficult, I will have to say. If that's something you want to do, go for it. But personally, I wouldn't suggest it, especially starting off like as a freshman. That's a lot to handle because you're already getting acclimated to being away from home, college level classes, because obviously once you go into college, like the courses are sometimes a little bit more difficult than they were in high school. So, and like you're also getting used to like the social aspect of everything. You're getting used to, you know, being on your own. So it's hard. It's a big transition period. So I wouldn't suggest like overloading yourself with two sports. Now, that being said, I know I told you like, oh, like you should, you know, decide if you want to go to college early on. Boom. So you honestly, one thing that should like go along with that is that you should honestly try to figure out what level of volleyball you can play realistically in college. Like, for example, let's use me as an example. I knew like sophomore year that I was not going to be able to play at like Wisconsin. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. Like Wisconsin, Oregon, Purdue, like Baylor, Texas, like Florida, all those schools like that, I already knew I wasn't gonna be able to play there. And you know what? That's just being realistic. And that's one thing that you need to be is realistic with yourself and like how good you actually are. You know, I could have lied to myself and like, you know what? I am good enough to play there. Like, no, I wasn't. Like, that's just like the truth. Like, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I wasn't a good volleyball player. It just means that that's not the level I was at, and I didn't have the physical attributes to play at that level. Like at that age I was like 5'10", 5'9", and I was a hitter. Like when you're at that kind of level, typically they go for girls who are like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and they're at a really high level. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, of course. Don't take this as like an absolute, like, oh, I have to be 6'2" to play D1 or high D1 or else I won't play. That's not true, because you can look on Wisconsin, for example, like their libero, I think her name's Julia Orzel. Yeah, she's my height. She's 5'10", and she was playing outside hitter for them. Just saying. Like, it's always possible, but you have to keep in mind that she is an amazing player. Like, she has great like all-around skill. Like, she is at that level at multiple positions. So yeah, she can go hit because she's 5'10". Who cares? Because she's good, and she's good enough to be a libero. Like, she just has the it factor. She has the skill. She has it, and that's something I knew I didn't have. I straight up asked my coach, and I was like, hey, like, do you think I can play at this level? And he was like, I think that you can play at mid D1. And I was like, okay, like, thank you for being honest with me. Sure enough, that is exactly the level that I played at when I went Division 1, was mid-level D1. Southern Mississippi is a mid-major D1. At that time, they were in Conference USA, but now they are in the Sun Belt, I believe, which is just a mid-major D1 conference. And like, there's levels to D1. Like, there's the highest level D1, like I was talking about, like Wisconsin, Florida. Those conferences are like the SEC, the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, stuff like that. And then if you go down to mid-major, it's like Conference USA, Sun Belt, American Athletic Conference, like stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what I would say, is just figure out if you want to play and then what level you can play. That's like the first two major steps. Honestly, like, playing college is like extremely rewarding because you can also get financially compensated for it, meaning that you can get a athletic scholarship, meaning that you won't be in a lot of student debt or none at all, because they could cover your entire scholarship. They could pay partial for your scholarship. Like, trust me, like, any free money is better than none, right? So honestly, like, using volleyball as a tool to get your school paid for is something that people do quite often. That's what my roommate did at Southern Mississippi. Like, she'd love to play volleyball, but like, you know, no one, like, at that level that we were at, it is extremely challenging. And like, I quit. Like, I was like, I'm out. But she couldn't quit because she needed her school paid for. So what did she do? She used volleyball as an avenue to get her school paid for and her master's degree, like, for free. That is so smart. I was like, you are so freaking smart for that. So that's something I would say, is to consider the scholarship money that you could receive, and consider how that could look on the end of things, like after you graduate and you're like, wow, like, I don't have any debt. Wow. And that's like the position I'm in right now. Like, I just graduated in December and now I have student debt because I didn't get all of my school paid for by volleyball. Something to think about. Another thing is, another pro playing college is that, like, you can end up really well connected with like people that you might not have met. So first of all, I've met some of my best friends from playing volleyball. I've met some really cool people with different jobs that can really connect you with people when you're trying to enter the workforce, like after you graduate. Also, like me right now, like I'm trying to find a job right now, like in sports, and I know some people because I played volleyball. Like, volleyball really just does connect you with different people, and honestly, sometimes, like, even at a club tournament, you might meet somebody and be like, wow, and you might really become friends. Like, another pro I would say is that it's just fun. Like, playing volleyball and getting paid to do so is fun. Like, that is so true. And I also want to like reiterate that, like, just because like you don't play D1 does not mean that you can't go to college to play volleyball. There's still D2 or Division 2. There's Division 3, and there's NAIA, and there's also junior college or community college. So whatever level you end up at, like, don't like compare yourself to other people and be like, oh, like, I'm not going to Oregon, so I must be bad. Like, it's not as good as someone who's going to Oregon and I'm going to like a D2 school, or I'm going to a D3 school, or I'm going to an NAIA school, but she's going to Oregon, so I feel less about myself. That's not the case, because guess what? You're still getting your school paid for. You're still playing college volleyball. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to play volleyball and doing it in your own way. Now, to get into the cons, I would say and this kind of ties into the first point of the pros, which was you need to decide if you want to play college volleyball pretty early on in your high school career, because if you don't, this is why it's a con, you might not get picked up. Okay, like, that's just the truth. Like, college coaches really start recruiting people in high school probably around like their sophomore, junior years. Like, those are like the prime years to get recruited. Now, if you wait too long and you're like a spring semester senior, it might be a little late. I mean, like, it's not impossible, because that's what I did. I was late because I don't know, I was still kind of deciding like what school I wanted to go to, and I felt like I waited too long and I didn't have any offers at that time, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was my spring season of my senior year. It was 18s, which is like club season, which is in the spring. Luckily for me, it worked out, but sometimes like it might not work out. And honestly, like, coaches are looking to fill their rosters like quickly, right? Because usually the best girls get swooped up extremely fast, or they're already committed, you know? So that's really important to already kind of have yourself out there before your senior year. Just saying. Another con I would say is that like your college experience might not be what you thought it was, but also keep this in mind, your college experience is what you make it. Like, everyone thinks that everyone has to party when they go to college and do this, that's not true. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, it is all up to you. If you go to class, if you show up to practice, if you show up to workouts, if you eat correctly, if you go to sleep on time, like, that's all up to you. And that's one thing that is hard about college volleyball. Accountability is huge. Like, it is literally all on you to take care of yourself. Like, no one's gonna be there, like your mom or your dad or whoever your caregiver is. They're not gonna be there to be like, hey, like, you know, nudge you in the right direction, to give you like, hey, you should do this, you should do that. Like, you're on your own. Like, you have to make those decisions for yourself, and you have to be accountable and mature enough to make those decisions for yourself. So that can be hard because you're not used to it. So it's just a big change. Oh, and I forgot to say this in the pros section, but another pro is that you get instant friends when you go to college when you play a sport. Just saying. Because it's hard. Sometimes it is hard to make friends in college. Like, it could be hard. It's harder than high school because you don't necessarily see these people every single day. Like, sometimes you'll see them every day, every other day. Like, it depends on when you have your class, but it's nothing like high school. But if you have teammates, you will see them every day. You might even want to see them less. That's how much you're gonna see them. But anyways, back to the cons. I'd say another con is just not being able to have a lot of free time. Which is a trade-off, because at the end of the day, you are saving thousands of dollars by playing college volleyball. Potentially. It depends on how much your tuition is, but you know, like, you're still saving a lot of money, but there are sacrifices that come with that. Like, maybe you don't have much of it. You might not have much of a social life, because it is hard to like, oh, I want to go hang out with my friends, but you have practice the next morning at 6 a.m. It's like, oh, like, those two things really don't mix. Or like, you're always on the road all the time, flying somewhere, busing somewhere, and you're just always on the go, and you're almost like never on campus because you're always gone, especially like during the first half of the season. Like, you are gone. So it's kind of hard to like connect with other people or join a club or extracurriculars. Like, your extracurricular, your job, your free time, your social time is your team, essentially. That's how I felt. That's just my opinion. But all in all, if you want to play college volleyball, I would just start thinking about it now, you know? And once again, it's better to be proactive than reactive. And it's always just the best plan of action to have a plan, you know, moving forward into your career. Like, you kind of want to picture like what your career will look like. Do you want to go D1? Do you want to go D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, whatever it is? Just kind of have a plan for that. And you have to factor in other things like, will I get playing time if I go to this Division I school versus this D3 school? Or will, like, who's offering me the most money? What's closest to home? Am I comfortable with being away from home? Like, there's so many factors that you need to consider if you want to play college volleyball. But I hope this video was helpful. Let me know any questions or video requests you have in the comments, because I want to start making more videos for this channel. If you want to see more of me, I post twice a week on my vlog channel, where it's just like more of my personal like vlog, lifestyle, day in the life kind of channel. But if you want to see me more, if you're interested in getting to know me more, then make sure you go check out that channel. It's always linked in my description, and it's just Jacoby Vlogs. Yeah, but I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.